next on Obsessed Trial Watchers.
And with one up, I am not going to miss this for nothing.
That is obsession. You're taking obsession to a new level.
Detective Flores' son was killed in a zipline accident.
This case has everything. Sex, lies, video. Oh wait, there's no video.
If someone wants to serve an injunction of harassment on me next time, maybe they ought to spell my name right.
So if he is being stabbed in the back, would you acknowledge at that point that he's no threat to you?
From Jodi Arias to Casey Anthony,
We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
the public can't get enough of these high-profile cases.
It is like a soapbox opera.
It's insane. People are really obsessed.
With the demise of court TV, obsessed trial watchers will do just about anything to get their fix.
I was there one day when a spectator sold their seat for $200.
The public now turns to legal analysts, social bloggers, and journalists who go inside the courtroom to bring these real-life dramas into their homes.
What are you doing?
I'm researching the Jodi Arias case. My name is Tammy Rose, and I'm a freelance reporter in Phoenix, Arizona.
Go straight into this. Tammy Rose, our KFYI courtroom correspondent.
Sex, lies, but no video as the Jodi Arias sentencing retrial gets underway.
Jodi Arias? Who's that?
You've never heard of Arias? Oh my God, they would love to have you on the jury. She's the girl that stabbed her boyfriend nearly 30 times, slit his throat ear to ear, and then she shot him. I also own a production company, Chopper Rose Productions. I do everything from weddings, voiceovers, anything to make a buck. Hey, Paul. Hey, can I get an interview from you?
Absolutely.
Come over here. Thanks. You can come over here too, Kathy. Thank you. Paul was another juror on a high-profile case, and now he's kind of obsessed with Arias.
I noticed, first of all, a lot of them were taking notes.
I've covered a lot of high-profile cases, but nothing like this.
But when they got to that point that it was creepy or I wasn't comfortable, I changed my phone number. I didn't move to their zip code.
When he got up to speak, he said, that one over there who slaughtered, stabbed, murdered, committed bloody murder on the victim. I thought that was a real moment in court because he managed to get to the base of the crime, and that's what we're talking about, what she did to that man in that washroom.
This case has everything. Sex, lies, video. Oh wait, there's no video.
She loved him so much that after she slaughtered him, she showed up at his memorial service.
Since the first trial was a media circus, the judge ordered no broadcast video until after the verdict.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it is up to you to write the final chapter of this story.
Look at all that traffic.
I know, it's horrible. It extends the drive by like an hour.
If you have a question about Arias, you just ask Jen Wood. She's got all the dirt.
Well, in order to fight traffic in Phoenix, Arizona, you have to get up really early. So I generally get up really early. If I'm supposed to be at court at 9:30, I'm up at 5.
I cannot believe you got an exclusive interview with juror number 3. That was awesome. How did you get that?
2014 for our new show, Ask and Answer. Here with always Jen.
Hello, welcome. We're so glad to have Melissa back. She was a great guest last week, and we're really happy to have her back this week.
Next on Obsessed Trial Watchers.
And I was waiting for my purse. She said, "Are you Nancy Grace?"
Oh, no. Oh, I thought that infamous sex tape was such a snore. Turn on HBO. True Blood is like softcore porn.
She was living in Wairika, California, living with her grandparents. She had moved up there in April of 2008, and Travis Alexander was happy that she was gone, didn't have to deal with her, coming over and looking in the window of his house, peeking, as he was making out with another girl.
And each and every one of you are here in part because of the reason that you said, you promised both parties and this court that you could put the emotions of seeing that evidence aside and render a verdict strictly on an objective view of the evidence.
Hi, this is Tammy. Hey, yeah, you'll have 2 reports in 10 minutes. Okay, great. And you want a live later on? Okay, cool. All right, bye. What tweet got the most retweets or favorites?
Jodi Arias tweeted from her own account that she was wearing purple for Domestic Violence Day, or to bring awareness to domestic violence, and so the next day I tweeted that she was wearing black to bring awareness to the Grim Reaper.
The only thing that I saw right away is Beth Karras was doing an interview, so I was watching her do the interview, and then Beth and I started talking after she was done.
And the juror was near this interview?
She was right next to us. She was kind of back, right.
Did she say anything to you?
Well, she didn't say anything to me right there. But as we started to go through the security, and I was waiting for my purse, she said, "Are you Nancy Grace?"
Oh, no.
Personally, I'd like to be confused with Reese Witherspoon. Just saying.
You have the most incredible stamina that I've ever even dreamed of encountering.
And then we had to hear the infamous sex tape. Everybody was uncomfortable. I think even the judge.
I'm going to tell you to a tree and put it in your ass, by the way.
That is so debasing. I like it.
I thought that infamous sex tape was such a snore. Turn on HBO. True Blood is like softcore porn.
The way you know that it sounds like you're this 12-year-old girl having her first orgasm.
You two need to get out more, get a hobby, take up pool. You know, you're in Mesa, Arizona. There's plenty of bars.
All right, based upon information provided at a hearing earlier today, the court finds that the defendant's next witness will not testify unless these proceedings are closed to the public.
I cannot believe the judge kicked us out and somebody's going to testify in secret.
And why would he kick out the public and the media? What's the big secret?
I have never seen this.
And who would it be?
I have never seen this. I've never seen it done before in all the cases I've covered. It's very odd. Now, I can only think that it's possibly an expert, that they say they're being threatened, and maybe that's the reason.
The lower court's closure order is plainly unconstitutional, not only as a substantive matter, but also as a clear violation of petitioners' procedural rights under the First Amendment.
Will Jodi Arias testify or not? Kurt Nurmi says not until he gets an opinion from the Court of Appeals and they allow him to go to the Supreme Court. So there's going to be witnesses, but who?
And the truth shall set you free! Unless you're Jodi Arias. Records unsealed and a confession. It's now on News Talk 550 KFYI. Let's go.
I'm telling you, for once in her life, I'm really hoping that Jodi Arias will stay true to her word and not get back on the stand.
What then do you make of this exchange between Ms. Arias and Mr. Alexander at this point in time in the relationship?
Well, in this point in time, when I compare this to other interactions or communicate between the four, this seems like it has more acceleration to it. It gives me the impression that it has more umph to it. As I go through the email, it begins to show that more aggressive, more abusive, more language that is really distasteful, insulting, debasing, devaluing.
Objection. Foundation.
Sustained.
Well, what do you mean accelerating? What do you mean by that? I mean, we've talked about this boulder rolling down the hill. Are we talking about this a sign of picking up speed, or is that what you mean?
Well, yes. As I said the other day, it's a parallel process where there's a momentum now. And this email, this communication on the 26th, it is extensive. It goes on for about 10 to 16 pages. And the language is aggressive. It's much more, the tone, the texture is much more aggressive than what we have seen in prior communications that Mr. Alexander has had with Ms. Arias. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of that steam, he's really going now. And she is really trying to placate, not very different than what her pattern has been in the past in terms of just taking it and trying to really find some peace that she can be acceptable for for Mr. Alexander. And we can see this in the email as it unfolds.
I watch body language, and when this doctor came in today, Jodi and her definitely made eye contact, and the look that I got from both of them is, don't worry, girl, I got your back. I'm going to say whatever it takes to get you out of here.
That's been the whole crux of the whole thing, right? Is when he clearly states there, I have never dealt with a more solid form of evil. That's his struggle, is that connection that he has with Miss Arias. The more he discovers he's pleased by the sexual interaction that he has with her, the more he explores that, the more satisfactory he becomes, the angrier he can become. She becomes the target. She's the evil. Remember that in the tape where it is recorded that he's having a sexual interaction with Miss Arias, when he is in high sexual arousal, it comes through and he's asking, is it wrong?
Okay, I'm asking about Mr. Alexander. Do you believe that the physical abuse occurred? Yes or no?
Objection invades the province of the jury.
Overruled.
I'm having difficulty with the word believe because it's not a belief per se, and that's what you're asking me.
Well,
I mean, I don't have a belief of anything. I'm giving you. Okay.
Let me ask this one. Okay. It's your opinion, as you sit here, that there was domestic violence, right? In this case.
Yes.
We're talking about some of the incidents that have become sort of, famous from the first trial, the broken finger. Right. Talk to me about what did Mr. Martinez get out of Geffner on this today?
The abuse was in question. Geffner's talked a lot about the abuse Jodi suffered from Travis, numerous incidences. So today, Juan Martinez brought out the fact that this broken finger that Jodi claims happened because of Travis wasn't noted anywhere in her journals, medical records.
Wow, can you believe all this about this juror getting dismissed? What's that leave us, 16 jurors
Yeah,
now?
16, yeah.
And look at all this stuff they're saying about her online. She's forging checks.
It's unbelievable.
Look, here's her mugshot. This looks like an assassination to me. Look at what they're saying about her.
Yeah.
No, they're not taking this well at all.
No, it's pretty despicable. So Juror 3 has been excused from the Jodi Arias trial. I had put out there on my Facebook that I hoped she would contact me and get a hold of me, and lo and behold, I got a message from her contacting me, and we were able to just strike up a conversation. I called her on the phone, and she's going to do an interview with me tonight on my show. I'm so glad that we connected, and I get to finally hear from a juror that was serving on the Jodi Arias trial.
Oh, and I'm so glad to be able to connect with you too. Coming on the outside, it was, coming back to the outside, I should say, was so funny, and reading all the tweets, and I think the first one that just stuck out was I will never forget it. It said, "Oh my God, we lost juror number 3, the book writer," with all these explanation points, and I thought it was the funniest thing.
I was so excited to meet juror number 3, and yes, I knew about her arrest. I asked about it. After further investigation, it just didn't make a difference.
Remorseful words, I don't know that matches the face. And I've said before too that people would ask me if she looked creepy. Well, no. She doesn't look creepy to me. She looks normal, and that's what's creepy about it. So the same thing, that you're hearing remorseful words, but I'm not seeing it.
Now the autopsy photos of my brother's decomposing body and mummified face are the images I can't get out of my head.
And when you saw the family, Travis Alexander's family, up there giving that emotional victim impact statement, I noticed women on the jury and even some men looked like they were very emotionally touched by that. Some were looked like they were crying but holding it together, but still looked really emotional while this was going on.
Because that's one of the things that you're told, that to try to refrain from, having any facial expressions that directly indicate, how you're feeling or how you, perceived something that was said or seen. And how do you not? I think I was probably the first one to grab the box of tissues from the front because I couldn't control it anymore. And anybody that doesn't feel anything, I've said that too, that doesn't feel anything during victim impact statements, I'm concerned about you.
Next on Obsessed Trial Watchers.
Something funny to you?
Well, you're mixing up my words.
You have heard the recording of the interview. Does that refresh your recollection?
No, I don't have any reason to doubt that that's what was said. I'm not saying that. I just don't remember the questions that were asked because, frankly, to me, what was being asked was irrelevant. And so I'm just sitting there. And so I'm not saying that I doubt the authenticity of it. What I'm saying is that why don't they just subpoena the guy and ask him?
Detective Flores, isn't it true you just listened to a recording?
I just listened to a recording, yes.
And isn't it true that your understanding, based on what just occurred outside the jury, is that during this recording it was Mr. Billings who was being interviewed?
That's what you purported, but I
Isn't
never
that your
heard
understanding, Detective, based on what you just heard outside the jury's presence?
I heard a recording, yes.
Okay, and you know during this interview, you know that Mr. Martinez was present, right?
Yes.
During that recording, isn't it true that Mr. Billings said that he never looked at used Mr. Alexander's computer?
Like I said, I was not there. I know nothing about this recording. I don't know if it was actually him or not.
Attorney Nurmi has filed a motion, which is a blockbuster motion, saying that Detective Flores, the lead detective in the case, has actually destroyed key evidence in the case. He said he took this computer out of Mesa Police for 3 hours and destroyed thousands of pornography files.
There was no porn on the computer at the time that she was saying two people killed Travis.
There was no defense strategy to use porn to assassinate his character until the ninja story fell apart. And then she came up with a new character destruction strategy, which is to destroy the victim.
So what happened in court yesterday? It looked like you got some papers or something. What was that about?
Yes, there is a woman online, it's Jodi Arias' ex-cellmate, who has fixated herself on me.
She actually had somebody serve her at court with harassment papers.
She has filed no less than 50 injunctions against harassment on people, and one of them was Barack Obama, our president, the Phoenix Police Department, the Attorney General's office, and even her own defense lawyers. So I am getting added to that long list. It's just been really crazy. I've never experienced like any kind of harassment or bullying that I've experienced covering the Jodi Arias trial.
So I put a media request in to film Jen's hearing. It was denied. My first thought, the judge would fit right in with the Arias trial.
Yay! Oh, Jen's hearing, it was amazing, especially the fact that it started on the premise of a lie.
I was nervous at first because I've never done anything like that or been in front of a judge, but once it came to my turn, I was like angry and ready to fight back.
Yeah, especially after hearing all the stuff she was accusing you of. I mean, things that you wouldn't even do to someone you didn't like.
No,
you know what
they
I
were
mean?
totally delusional accusations of stalking her daughter, talking about her daughter's
making
case.
fun of her daughter.
I don't even know who her daughter is. It was just nuts.
Is it true? She said something about you getting a vibrator and leaving Juan Martinez
She did
alone?
tweet that, yeah.
Juan Martinez, Troy Hayden, really? Like Jen has the time.
Vulgar tweets. She's called me white trash, a bitch.
And those had her name.
Yes,
her name
and
your
it was
name.
directed towards me. That's why my evidence was stronger, because it showed her directly calling me names and making these accusations about me and another journalist, and you know, it just went on and on.
Troy Hayden, you took a bath? Or no? Oh my God, you were gonna take a bath with Troy Hayden?
So for me to keep my mouth shut, this whole hearing was difficult.
If someone wants to serve an injunction of harassment on me next time, maybe they ought to spell my name right. No, that's not his real name. They do not want his real name tweeted out by the media or the public. No cameras were allowed today because the judge said his identity needed to be protected for his work.
And the other thing, like the data scientist, was a complete waste of time.
Yes.
I mean, now I know why he wanted to keep his identity hidden, because he doesn't want anybody to know he doesn't know what he's talking about.
and I came across something that said there's a rumor afloat that Detective Flores' son was killed in a zipline accident.
Our family's never experienced a child death before, so it's overwhelming for us as a family. We're going through a series of emotions we've never dealt with before.
It is just a shame at 15 years old to lose your life, and being the father of somebody who went there, it just, I can barely imagine the pain he's going through.
Once everything's over and they put his body to rest, I think that's when all the deep thoughts and feelings start pouring out on you, and I think he needed to get out and breathe air and see life, and he's just very dedicated to what he does, and he wants to make sure that the Alexanders, he doesn't want to let them down either.
So we've got Dr. Gaffner on the stand for 3 days for direct and then probably only 1 day for one, right? That's about all he'll need.
Do you as an expert find it surprising that she would have sexual relations with him after this incident and after he gave her his reasons?
You would like to think that once that's come out, that would end. But that's one of the reasons that I asked her about that. And the response was, well, I have all these feelings for him. I felt bad for him, what happened to him. And the reason that sex with adults was good for him, according to him, was because it keeps that other urges out. And so when you go back to her personality that we have identified, pleasing others, then you see where she's saying, okay, I'm going along with this because I don't want him to have those other urges.
Well, I do want to complete it, but I'm not able to.
All right. So you have had an opportunity to discuss this issue with your attorneys?
Yes.
The judge did tell Jodi Arias she could allocute in front of this jury, and all of this works to Jodi Arias' benefit because she's been able to get some testimony out in front of this jury regarding remorse, and now she's going to be able to get more testimony out in front of this jury for allocution without Juan Martinez cross-examining her at all.
You say there's that piece of the puzzle, to quote Dr. Geffner, that is completely not going to be there when they go to deliberate. They are going to.
It's different than a normal trial, because in a normal trial, the defendant may not get up, and a jury can't hold it against them.
But then to start and not stop, and they have no idea
and
why.
And she left into the middle, right?
You have to sit there and wonder.
And that was the defense's mistake. It was to let her once again run this trial like it's hers, like she knows what she's doing. She does not have a clue. And you know what? It's all on her. And I hope it turns out the way it should turn out. Death, death, death. Period. You're still sick?
You know what? I went to the emergency room. They told me I have a really bad cold, but I don't want to get anybody. I would have stayed home, but with Juan up there, I've been coming here for a year. And with Juan up, I am not going to miss this for nothing.
You're taking obsession to a new level. To leave the emergency room, show up at court as a spectator, you could follow our tweets, watch the 5 o'clock news.
She said, we have a problem.
And what did you say?
I said, I don't have any problems, life is good. What is our problem?
And what did she proceed to tell you?
She told me that Mr. Alexander had found out about our date a year before, and I asked her why he would know that, because I said nothing to anybody.
And what did she say?
She said she was trying to be forthcoming and honest and thought that he should know everything if they're going to have an honest relationship, and so she told him about our date from the year before.
Abe Abduhadi was a business associate of Travis Alexander. He had interactions with Jodi Arias, semi-sexual.
Are you currently aware that it wasn't just Jodi?
Well, I kind of figured that there might be more, but I don't know for sure.
That was your voice?
It was.
And that followed along with the transcript, didn't it?
It did.
So the transcript was accurate?
It is.
Okay. And so when you were asked the question about whether or not you were aware that there were other sexual relationships beyond just Jodi, your answer was, I don't know for sure, right?
That's right.
That's what we just heard.
That's right.
But in reality, you knew that you had a sexual relationship with Mr. Alexander, right?
Well, the question is clearly talking about other people.
Yeah, I'm not asking you about
I'm asking that she allow her to answer.
She's not non-responsive.
Objection. I'm not allowing the witness to answer.
All right. Restate your question.
She's going to be talking about the great things about Travis Alexander. She's going to be rebutting the fact that she was abused by Travis Alexander. So the jury's going to hear the flip side of what the defense presented about her.
It wasn't until years later in 2013 when you were actually under oath, right?
Yes, that's right.
That's the first time that you ever said anything about having a sexual relationship with Mr. Alexander.
That's the first time it was asked of me.
Kirk Nurmi is trying to establish that the pop-up porn images on Bishop Parker's computer were from Travis Alexander surfing the porn and not someone else who was living in the house. And to do that, he showed that Parker was off on his timeline. You know, watching the Bishop, I saw him start to waver. You know, and it's like he was wavering in his questioning because I think he was getting backed into a corner where he knew he didn't lie. But Nurmi was trying to make it look like he was, you know, lying about things.
People could see, obviously, that he wanted to answer more and couldn't, and he was restricted, and so I don't, you know, I think he did really good.
Wasn't it great seeing DeMarty up on the stand?
It actually was. She's articulate. Her tone with the jury is very neutral.
Information about the physical domestic violence comes directly from Ms. Arias. That information came to me, it was important for me to look at the consistency of her reporting of this information over time.
Defense expert Fonseca that told the jury that basically Jodi was suffering in silence and was a wilted flower. Dr. Tamarte has crushed that.
And there was certain inconsistency across reporters of who she told, of how much domestic violence she experienced. In addition to that, in looking at the content of what she described she experienced in terms of physical domestic violence, there are content differences.
Defense attorney Kirk Nurmi then gets Dr. Janine DeMarte to admit borderline personality disorder is a mental illness.
But I don't think it's a mental disorder because I don't want the jury to think that she's mentally disabled or disturbed, because then they'll have maybe sympathy for her.
Well, PTSD and multiple personalities, all that is really not a mental illness. It's more of a, because you know what
it's a character difference.
It's a character difference.
It's a personality.
You know what you're doing. You know what you're saying. You know, it doesn't go to show that she didn't have a clue what she was doing.
I think Nurmi's doing a pretty good job of getting out what borderline personality is, and it might capture somebody on that jury to think, I can't give her the death penalty, this girl's mentally ill, which is a mitigating factor.
What's the date today?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure of the exact date.
Okay. Can we agree that it's in 2015?
Yes.
Okay. Can we agree, how about that it's February 9th, 2015?
Yes.
Okay. And you received your doctoral degree, or excuse me, you were licensed in 2010, right?
That's correct.
I've watched with Nurmi, you know, for this 2 years. Today, he was more aggressive than I've ever seen him before. I mean, and to call her Dr. Death a second time, oh my God.
I think basically that he's coming off as a bully.
You're further than not allowed to advertise these or misrepresent these things as part of your credentials, right?
What things?
Your time as a student. You can't put that as your credentials. You can't boast that as your credentials in public, can you?
As credentials, meaning?
Right.
Meaning what, though? As credentials?
Again, you're here to answer my questions, right? If you don't understand what credentials means, take that answer. Just let me know.
Objection, argumentative. She asked and said she didn't know what it was.
Sustained.
Okay, she doesn't know.
What strikes me about his cross-examination is that he absolutely made her his witness for the mitigator of Jodi has borderline personality disorder. Right? He has 9 mitigators in this case. The evidence of that one mitigator comes from the state's witness. So he did a very soft cross-examination last Thursday. He wants the jury to believe that diagnosis. Then he proceeded to attack her ethics, her credentials, how she represents herself, and her conclusions in other areas. So what he's doing is he's saying, yes, we want you to believe her for this, but don't believe her for everything else.
Next, on Obsessed Trial Watchers.
I never said she was asinine. I said some of the comments she made were absurd.
So Detective Smith has told us that there is a report, that he needs to get it ready, and that so we're asking that he not be allowed to take the stand unless that report is disclosed.
Then the defense shocks everyone and asks the judge to remove 3 spectators. After learning out who they were, I just had to get their side of the story.
Now I'm hearing it was 4 of us.
Did you see that they put you down? You know what? I was having a simple conversation with these 2 women. We were talking about, I said, oh, so we're going to a Mexican restaurant, La Cucaracha, that's who I am, right? And I started singing it. Just as I sang that, I saw De La Rosa go around the corner. I said, oh, I hope she didn't hear that. It was harmless. And I'm crying because I'm so mad, because if they try to take Kathy or Paul out of here because of something I did, it's not going to happen. I'll go.
The shift is starting to change inside the courtroom and out. After the judge says she can't remove anyone because she didn't see what happened, the issue is dropped, but not among trial watchers.
It was absurd for them to even bring it up again, especially with, tweeting my picture out. That was really because I was standing here, I thought that was wrong too.
Some of my friends have taken offense to them becoming involved in it, which they shouldn't have been involved. It had nothing to do with them, and I've expressed that. And I thought today it was all over, and when I came to court today, I can tell that, the feelings aren't the same.
At this point, I feel we just need to separate from, everything, keep to ourselves, and just be done with it.
So you're never going to believe what I got in the mail the other day.
What?
A jury summons?
No way.
Wasn't I just telling you about that? I got 5 and 10 years.
Oh my gosh, they are hitting you hard.
I really want to serve on a jury, but not in the middle of Jodi Arias.
Seriously, we're in this rebuttal with the same witnesses, the same stuff we've heard over and over. It makes no sense, and you can see that the jury is just done with this.
Did you see their faces when they walked in and saw Geffner?
She reached up to claw his eyes out and stopped because she didn't want to hurt him, which doesn't match this. So we have a third interpretation now.
So you're saying this doesn't match anything about what Dr. DeMarte said? That's what you're saying, right?
No, you're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say it didn't match anything. Obviously, what Dr. DeMarte said was the clawing. She talked about clawing.
Let me stop you there. Quote for me what Dr. DeMarte testified in this courtroom about this incident. Word for word.
Objection, argumentative yelling. Sustained.
Tell me what she said, word for word.
Same objection.
Sustained.
Can you tell me word for word what she said?
No, I cannot.
So you are going on, did you see a transcript of what she said?
No, I did not her testimony.
You're going on what defense counsel told you, isn't that?
Objection, improper question.
Overruled, you may answer.
Right?
On that particular thing, yes.
We have the fired up Juan Martinez, who is really attacking Geffner on cross, not only about him laughing at inappropriate times, also about testing that he feels is invalid.
That's part of the reason why you said yesterday that Dr. DeMarte was asinine, wasn't it?
No, I didn't say, I never said she was asinine. I said some of the comments she made were absurd, I think.
Sir, is something funny to you?
Well, you're mixing up my words.
Yes or no? Is something funny about this case to you?
Nothing.
Sustained.
Sir, was something wrong with your microphone yesterday in the afternoon?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
I have no idea.
Well, then why did you keep moving over to juror number 1 yesterday during your testimony?
Objection, may we approach?
Yes, you may approach.
Juan's being very loud, very fiery, so they are definitely at attention. I saw some taking notes. Juan actually accused Geffner of scooting closer and leaning over, talking to juror 1 in particular, which I wonder if that may backfire by making juror 1 feel a little uncomfortable, or she's recognizing, wow, maybe he is kind of pandering to me to get my vote.
I was expecting to see Dr. Fonseca again today, so when I got to court late, I was shocked that there were no witnesses. And again, maybe the defense is finally figuring out, rehashing the same old thing over and over and over again. When you look at what they did with Geffner and the jury questions, maybe they figured we're not getting anywhere.
Right. I think they understand the jury's getting tired. They're porn weary. They're domestic violence weary. And Dr. Geffner did not do very well under cross-examination.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have excused juror number 5 and juror number 12. They will no longer be part of the jury.
And I looked at the background because I was here for jury selection of juror number 12, definitely a defense juror. He had said right from the beginning that he's in favor basically of life sentences. He used to be more pro-death penalty than he is now. He really feels the death penalty is for serial murderers, people like that. But he was rehabilitated and allowed to stay on the jury, so I'm sure that from the prosecution point of view, they're happy that number 12 is gone.
It was really tense in the courtroom all day long. For a bunch of drama, we didn't know what was really happening until it happened.
Ms. Arias, your attorneys have indicated to the court that you do not wish to allocute. Is that correct?
That's not correct.
All right. Explain.
I would like to allocute.
All right, and you're willing to do that in front of the jury?
Well, yes, to the jury.
Are there any other conditions?
I have the same concerns that I voiced in chambers.
If she's not willing to stand up in public and say, I'm sorry for what I did, then she's not sorry for what she did.
Yes,
and I think that's really going to work against her.
Took several times to ask her if she understood that it was her chance to explain the crime, to bring mitigating factors to the jurors' attention, to express remorse.
That was back in October of 2014, correct?
Yes.
You understand that the appellate courts have ruled that you may not allocute in a sealed proceeding, or you may not speak or testify in a sealed proceeding. Do you have any reasons other than those you previously expressed?
No, my understanding was that the Court of Appeals said that my testimony cannot be sealed, and that allocution, and my understanding, is not testimony. So that was my only thought.
All right. Well, I think the same analysis applies. I will make the same offer I previously made, and that is we will clear the courtroom. The folks in the courtroom can go downstairs to the overflow room and observe your testimony in the overflow room.
Well, I appreciate that, but it doesn't address my concerns.
So you do not wish to allocute unless you can allocute in a sealed proceeding. Is that correct?
That's correct.
She gets up and says, no, I don't want to allocute. Now, the jury doesn't know that that piece is part of it. The thing that will bug the hell out of them is why did you get up for a day and a half and then leave? And what they're going to think is you're hiding something. And hiding goes not toward mitigation, it goes toward aggravation.
And you understand that the right to allocute encompasses the right to express remorse, plead for mercy, explain the crime, and bring mitigating circumstances to the attention of the jury. You understand that is the purpose of allocution.
Yes.
You do not wish to allocute for these purposes unless you can allocute in a sealed proceeding. Is that correct?
Will you read the purposes one more time? I'm sorry.
Yes. The right to allocute encompasses the right to express remorse, plead for mercy, explain the crime, and bring mitigating circumstances to the attention of the jury.
Okay, thank you.
You cannot allocute in a sealed proceeding. Do you wish to allocute?
Not in an open proceeding, no.
Have you had the opportunity to discuss this matter with your attorneys?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about your decision that you wish to address to the court?
Not.
The best part was, did you take any medication today? And she said no, which means I'm clear-minded, I'm not under the influence. The decision I'm making is my decision to make, mine alone, And I can't say down the road, well, I was heavily medicated and didn't know what I was saying.
Have you taken any medication today?
No.
Several weeks ago, I stood before you, delivered Miss Arias' opening statement in this case. And I told you that more than anything, the story of the relationship that Travis Alexander and Jodi Arias shared for nearly 2 years was a tale of infinite sadness. She talked about the beatings that her mother would give her with a spoon, how her mother would grab her nails and sink it into Jodi's young arm. You heard Jodi talk about the emotional impact of those things, because it was her mother who was doing it. The mother who was supposed to care for her was abusing her. That when a girl leaves home at age 17 before she's graduated high school to move into such conditions, it may also be related to the reality, to the proof that she was being abused as a child at home. And that this was a better alternative than what she had. We know that in May and June of 2008, Mr. Alexander's sexual motivations were also reaching a fever pitch. The contact with women, pornography, the desire to have this sexual encounter with Miss Arias at his home. All of these things were coming into play June 4th, 2008.
I think it's a good possibility they'll come back with life. I believe that stressing that each individual juror can have their own mitigating factor.
I think it was self-defense, to make a long story short. I don't think it was self-defense. I don't think it was premeditated, because I think if it was premeditated, she would have killed him in his sleep. Why go hand-to-hand combat in the bathroom with somebody? It just doesn't make no sense.
He was asked about what Mr. Alexander's brother Stephen and his sister Tanisha Thorson had to say.
Tanisha and Stephen, and I couldn't help but cry. The family just got up and they left. They just walked out right in the middle of him saying their names. I thought that, good for them. I was so proud of them.
She was asked, she said, I think that when I hear that, if I could do, I wish so badly that I could just take that away from them, and that I could reverse what I did, and that I could take away what all these people are feeling that I have heard, including Travis.
When you are looking at the jury instructions, because the jury instructions tell you how to deal with these photographs and the story that's involved in this particular case. Exhibit 203. Look at that slide. Take a look at that. That's what you want to consider. I'm asking that you apply these jury instructions that were given to you. I'm asking you no more, no less than each of you do your duty. I'm asking any one of you, because the bell now tolls for each and every one of you.
So his last line was, the bell now tolls for each one of you. Remember the victim. Wow. It was a good line. And
based on what was presented in this case, facts as you're going to find them in the law as you are required to apply. I'm asking you to avert the debt. Thank you.
I just felt like he just lost his zest. I mean, it didn't seem like the Juan Martinez that I've seen before. And I was listening to another reporter talk, and he had the same conclusion. He said exactly what I was thinking. Now I'm really worried.
I'm in the overflow room. I said, Lord Jesus, he needs to come with that premeditation, and no premeditation. And I thought when he ended, I was like, that's it.
Next on Obsessed Trial Watchers. We're on verdict watch, and I have jury duty.
But the question is, as it relates to your duty, is your moral judgment or belief that these two people, both who had tragic backgrounds, Both who brought that to the relationship should die.
Objection, improper argument as to both people.
Approach, please.
He's deceased. And the question is, do you kill the second person in this photograph?
After it's over and you walk out and you can hear the family in their room crying, it just breaks your heart.
Juror number 2 and juror number 13.
13. All right, jurors 2 and 13, you are designated as the alternates. What that means is this: you will not immediately deliberate with your fellow jurors. However, the admonition will continue to apply to you. If for some reason one of the sitting deliberating jurors cannot continue, you will be substituted for that juror.
We're on verdict watch, and I have jury duty. My stomach is in knots thinking a verdict can come back at any time. I'm on the 7th floor with no computer, no phone. I'm juror number 13 for several hours. Then, after I tell the judge I'm covering the Arias trial, I finally get the boot.
I'm really feeling death, and especially with the 2 jurors who got made as alternates. The one of them I was concerned about, just like yesterday I was concerned with one of them. Now that they're gone, I think this was favorable to the prosecution.
We're just all on pins and needles, waiting for the verdict.
It sounds like the jury has come back deadlocked. So the jury has given them a dynamite charge, asking them to go back in there and try to work this out, go back through the evidence, find out where they agree and disagree.
I mean, she has earned the death penalty. Whether or not she gets it is yet to be seen. But yeah, it does feel like deja vu today with this, and hopefully that they'll be able to come to a decision.
Okay, let's count the mitigating factors. There's one, and it's very insignificant.
She was
the big,
27?
No.
Oh.
The one, she has no police record.
That we know.
That is officially a mitigating factor, but there's nothing else.
What?
Nothing.
There's no children. There's no her lawyer even was just, said she has no mitigating factors.
She said it in her interview after she was convicted that her parents didn't beat her enough.
Yes.
There wasn't enough abuse.
And
she said, my lawyer said, I don't have any mitigating factors. Okay?
Well, what I think he should have brought home, though, is the premeditation. He didn't go into that at all. He didn't talk about the gas cans. They don't know about all that stuff. I think if he would presented some more of that, I wouldn't be so worried.
All rights jury.
I have received 2 juror questions from you. The first juror question, submitted late yesterday afternoon, states that we are not unanimous. Votes have been steady since last Thursday. Jurors have indicated minds are made up. Some have indicated we either let you know today or they want off this jury. In my assessment, we are hung and additional time will not change this. Submitted by the 4-person. This morning I received an additional juror question indicating the status is unchanged as of this morning. Is there anything from the 4-person to add at this time? All right, at this time, the court is declaring a mistrial. Are we ready to proceed to sentencing?
Oh, Your Honor, Ms. Arias is requesting approximately 30 days. My understanding from our previous conversations is April 10th was available to the court. I just don't think we had a time indicated.
And April 10 will not work for the state. The next of kin have requested that the sentencing be set either on a Monday or a Tuesday.
All right. I will certainly accommodate that request. April 13th or April 14th? Mr. Martinez, do either of those work?
Either one will work for us. Let's go with April 13th.
Mr. Nermi, April 13th?
Your Honor.
April 13th, 8:30 a.m. for sentencing.
What time, Your Honor?
8:30. ordered that a pre-sentence report be prepared. And I'm going to order the defendant held pursuant to Rule 7.2, which I believe she's already being held.
Your Honor, it's my understanding that Ms. Arias is either waiving her right to a pre-sentence interview and/or requesting that counsel be present when said interview is taken. I'd like the minute entry to reflect that.
Well, which is it? Does she want a pre-sentence report or does she not?
My understanding is she's decided not to participate in said interview.
Ms. Arias, you have a right to have a pre-sentence report prepared. Your attorney is indicating you wish to waive that right. Is that correct?
Yes.
We will so reflect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the parties, myself and my staff, I wish to thank you for your extraordinary service on this case.
The Alexanders were crying very loud, uncontrollably. It really broke everybody's heart to hear that. It's just a very sad fact that they couldn't come to a conclusion. They couldn't come to a verdict, and it was so close. We're talking 11-1 for the death penalty.
Obviously, as I said, during the closing arguments, during the opening statements, and several times during the trial, that the events of June 4th, 2008 were a tragedy, and that no verdict ultimately could repair that sadness. I don't think today's victory will repair any sadness or change anything, but we hope it can begin the closure process for all those who were affected by that tragedy.
My heart is just breaking for them. It's just breaking that you had to sit through this twice now. Where's the justice? That is...
Tanisha said that when Tanisha walked by and the cameras all started to crowd the family. Tanisha said, just in tears, there is no justice.
In the end, all the trial watchers came together. They all wanted the same thing, justice and closure for the family.
Trying to say no hard feelings.
No hard feelings.
You good with that?
You know, it's just a lot of things were taken out of context, and I didn't mean to involve anybody in, you know, what happened, and I want to thank you for telling me that.
Your heart's there. You're
Yeah.
good. You're good.
Thank you.
Finally, it's over. I can go back to having a normal life. Oh wait, I have another trial.